Thank you, sir. And I'd like to take, well, this is a good crowd, isn't it? I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you and those of you that might be joining us on one of the social media pages for this board meeting for the month of April. And at this time, I will call the meeting to order. And please note that 4 board members are present, and Ms. Davis is not here. So at this time, if you would join me in a moment of silence, and if you would maybe take this time to maybe pray for Mary Adrian and her family, because she lost her father, and they're making arrangements for his funeral service tonight. Thank you very much. If you're able, you can stand with me and say the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Item C on our agenda tonight is to adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. McCurdy made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurd seconded. All in favor, let me know by uplifted hand. And all 4 board members present were in favor. The agenda is adopted. Item 2 on our agenda is communications. And first of all, we get to do all the recognitions. So, Mr. Stubb, would you get us started, please?
Absolutely. You're first up. Our first recognition is the Garrard County Schools Danville Office Equipment Support Staff of the Month, and we are recognizing Katie Rader tonight.
She's under the weather.
Okay,
She's not here.
we'll take it, get it to her. So if you all don't care, I'll go ahead and share with you what we were going to share about Katie. Katie's been instrumental in the implementation of our new Garrard County Learning Academy. She's jumped in and made a good program even better. Katie never hesitates to do anything that needs to be completed. She's very organized and works incredibly hard at making sure all the GCLA students' needs are met. Katie is constantly checking in with students and building positive relationships with them and their families. We're immensely grateful to have Katie in this position, and we are. Next, we'll recognize the Farmers National Bank Students of the Month. First, from CDR, is Gunnar Allen. Gunnar is a preschool student at CDR. He always has a smile on his face when he walks into the classroom. Gunnar is a good friend to everyone in his class. He helps his friends clean up their toys, and when his friends are feeling sad, he gives them a hug. He's a good listener, and he participates in every circle time and small group activity. We're so glad he's a CDR Bobcat. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Great job, baby.
From Lancaster Elementary is Mariana Galindo. So we'll get this to her. Yeah, we will. We'll make sure she gets it. From Paint Lick, Lillian Russell. Lillian is a 3rd grader at Paint Lick, and she's a pleasure to have in the classroom. She's always willing to help out her classmates from anything from a spill, a tied shoe, or helping to get logged in on a computer. She is a high achiever in all areas, and she gives every task her best effort and pushes herself because she knows she can do anything. Congratulations, Lillian.
Thank you.
Garrard Middle School, Claire Weaver. Not here. From Garrett County High School, Priscilla Floyd. Priscilla is a senior and is a very dedicated student at GCHS. She's worked hard to complete her nursing pathway and has been awarded the awesome opportunity to co-op at Sutton's Pharmacy. is a technical assistance provider and the conveners of all things Gear Up in Washington, D.C. This year's national conference will be held at the Washington Hilton in Washington, D.C. on July 17th through the 20th. The Youth Leadership Summit is highly competitive and provides national level student leadership training for 9th through 12th grade high school students who are currently participating in Gear Up. Selected students will meet amazing professionals within the education field, network with them, and learn from other Gear Up students and near peers across the nation. Deepen their awareness of STEM and STEAM fields, engage in a variety of interactive formats, find their voice, and learn 21st century life, leadership, and learning skills. Congratulations to Katie for being one with 150 in the nation. Something that we don't do a lot, but I want to make sure that we take advantage of today. Sometimes we don't take time to recognize some of our board members. We have a board, all of our board members work incredibly hard. This is a job most people don't sign up for. But we have a board member who, since the last board meeting, has been working tirelessly in her job, but to benefit our students. So Dr. Lamb has created, through a lot of effort, a partnership from her area of work at BCTC with the University of Kentucky Medical Center. And our nursing students are going to have an opportunity that you just can't imagine. So if you have a child who's considering any field, this may be the choice because they'll have an opportunity once this partnership is in place to earn 24 credits at the high school level, no cost to them, complete their time at BCTC at no cost to them, have a guaranteed job at the University of Kentucky Medical Center, and immediately be offered the opportunity to complete their bachelor's degree at no cost to them. So if you're looking for a job and you can pretend to be a student, we'll try to get you in. But we appreciate incredibly Dr. Lamb and her work in making sure that we have that opportunity for our kids.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
I did not, but thank you very much.
Very
Great
well.
opportunity.
All right.
State
Item B is the site-based decision-making minutes, and I assume all the board members have had an opportunity to go over those. Which brings us to item C, which is audience comments. And all of you that signed up to speak, I just want to remind you, you signed a document, and you understand each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. So who's our first speaker?
First request, I don't think they're present. So we're going in the order in which the request was made. So if they show up, we'll come back to them. Our second speaker tonight is Jaden Norris.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say, as an alumni of Garrard County Schools and now a current teacher, it's great to be able to witness the improvements of all of our facilities. And I just want to thank all of the members involved in that process that's bettering our community.
Well, thank you, Jaden.
Next speaker tonight is Chuck Hunt.
Hello, everybody. Kind of what she said, actually, I'm here to express my appreciation for the school system and particularly the hospital and actually LES too. With their family situation, they've been very, we've had some medical issues, and they've been very accommodating with us, and Mr. Rowland and Kevin Gresham, and then especially the hospital too, with Mr. Anderson, very accommodating. And I have a daughter that's a freshman, and I got twins at LES with Miss Bottoms, and I'm just excited for the future with what the facilities are becoming, what they're doing at the hospital. And it's just, to me, it's just very exciting with the improvements that they're doing and the path that they're taking. So just want to express my appreciation for it.
Well, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next speaker is Chris Willems.
And I'm just gonna sort of piggyback on what they said. I'm actually an educator in Garrard County, but I had one child already go all through Lake middle school and high school, and they're at EKU now. And I have a son in middle school right now in the band, Mr. President. I would like to thank you all. This is gonna open up so many extra opportunities that Garrett County has not had in the past. For example, band contests. I know there are certain requirements that have to be met before you can have a band contest at your facility. Track and things like parking and all that. And with what you all have proceeded with, it looks like that would be a great opportunity to have a band contest in the near future. With state, for example, it's going to be at Eastern Kentucky University this year. They look for surrounding counties that would be a good candidate for a semifinal, and Gary would fit that bill perfectly. So I want to thank you all. My daughter didn't get to reap the benefits, but hopefully my son will in the near future. And I just want to thank you all.
Well, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Wilson.
That's it.
Well, that's it.
That's it.
Do you know the other person? Well, if they come in, do you want to?
If they come in, we'll give them the opportunity if they want to, sure.
Yes, sir. Sure. All right, that's audience comments. Item D is board members. Any board members have anything they'd like to share? Item E is the superintendent, and first, item 1 under E is instructional program update. Has to deal with secondary programs.
So last month, we were able to share some information with you about the elementaries, and tonight you're going to get to hear about the middle school and high school. So we have Dr. Audrey Nichols and Michael Anderson who are going to share some information. You have a one-pager in your folder that you can follow along with. Those of you who came in, if you didn't pick it up, there's some available for that, and we'll be running a video while they're sharing as well. So have a
Thank you all for giving us this opportunity. If you haven't met me, I'm Dr. Nichols. I know some of you guys. And I am the principal at Garrard. So something that we worked on together was that one pager, and I'm going to kind of speak through that about the middle school. We started with talking about academic involvement opportunities at the middle school. So with our core classes, we also band, choir, STEM, writing, environmental science, family consumer science, PE, and we also have RTI for math and reading within those on-core offerings to provide students additional learning opportunities outside of just the core content setting. We also have advanced classes within math and ELA for our students to provide, again, another opportunity for learning. We have also our C3 opportunities. That's the emphasis within those classes. It allows our teachers to kind of make greater connections outside of worrying, kind of about the academic content all the time. They really get the opportunity to learn more about the students and develop stronger relationships with them through those C3 classes. Kind of maybe like what you would think of a homeroom, but again, with the intent of providing SEL learning opportunities specifically for our students. Moving on with student involvement. So athletic teams is a really big involvement for our students, but we also have non-athletic opportunities to involve our students, starting with our academic team and future problem-solving team. We have 60 members currently on those teams. This year they were district champions overall, regional runner-up with 3 region champions. We sent 9 to the state competition. Our academic team has a dedicated coaching staff that puts a lot of heart and effort and love into what they do, and we have a very great academic team and future problem-solving team with our GMS family. We also offer gifted and talented. We have 47 members currently. You just recognized our Odyssey of the Mind team. So 6 of those students combined made that team with a 4th place finish in their competition. We have a Student Technology Leadership Program, or STLP, with 27 members in that. Those students actually produce our daily news that is shown every morning. Those students go around and kind of document events within the school and share information with our student body through different means. They help design graphics that you might see on our website, and some different social media outlets. And they also have kind of gotten better at helping solve some minor technology issues for our students and teachers within the building. So that program has really taken off over just this year. Our student council is another active group of our students in the middle school. We have at least 100 members. I think it's more than that, but that's the closest estimate we could get, which again includes 6th through 8th grade. These students serve as our student leadership team and really kind of are that student voice for us when we want to kind of get some ideas about things that, you know, our students feel like they might need to address or just have a concern or just want to plan something. These are kind of like our first line of defense that we would go to try to get some ideas and bring those back to the table to see what we can do to support them. They help plan and coordinate different student body events. They've done dances, they've done fundraisers, they've done Spirit Week. Pretty much, you know, they are a pretty big heartbeat for our students in the school. With middle and high school connections, something that we also have that Mr. Anderson, I'm sure will touch on, are the teacher leaders that were established. Those teacher leaders serve as the heads of different departments. And, you know, in my school, they're a part of my leadership team. So they kind of are, again, that core group that I might bounce some ideas off of, or they bring some ideas back to me to think whole school needs, or what can we do to support a certain department or a group of students. They also work within their department to help align curriculum, to come up with assessments, and just kind of be that sounding board for maybe some of our newer teachers, you know, to give them additional support when they've entered into this profession. We also have one math interventionist that works with my math department and really provides additional support with academics, in not just RTI, but also in Tier 1 instruction, works with assessment, and works with, again, aligning curriculum. And also, again, just really going into classrooms to support students, whether it be in the general setting or in like an RTI setting. So those are just some quick highlights. I don't want to steal Michael's thunder. To what's going on within GMS.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols.
I appreciate the opportunity and very humbled and honored to speak to y'all. I'm gonna set a timer because I love talking about the high school, and I know y'all got a lot on the agenda, so I'll try to limit it. But we have to answer Mr. McQuarrie's question about the trimester just real quick. So a trimester is set up on we call them schedule units. So there's 6 schedule units per trimester, which makes a total of 18 schedule units. So a student can have 72 schedule units over their 4 years. And the beautiful thing about a trimester is there's only 46 schedule units that's required. So that gives us 26 that kids can play with. So the trimester is just so powerful in giving students the opportunity to explore multiple pathways, multiple honors courses, multiple dual credit, AP, and all that. So to be what we call a completer in a pathway, which is where we try to get kids to go, it's really neat. Education has their own terminology. And I got to sit in the meeting with Dr. Lamb and listen to nurses use their vocabulary, their language, and I didn't understand a word they were saying. So I get tickled when I go, my wife, when she came into education, it was the same way. She goes, y'all got acronyms, and I don't know what they mean. So I had to do a lot of tutoring to get her, and it's the same way. But a pathway, we try to do a really good job of explaining to parents that it's not your major. It's not anything other than this is what the state says the school's accountable for. So we want to push your kids towards their interest. So I wish that we could call it instead of a pathway, an interest. So students have the ability to go through multiple different interests or pathways. They can check in, they can check out, but at usually their sophomore year, they kind of know what they like and what they don't like. funny story, this one little young lady, she was really dressed nice, and I told her, let's go try ag, let's try an ag class. And she had on, I mean, I don't know girls' fancy clothes, but she goes the first day, she said, okay, I'll go try it. And she comes back the next day and she goes, do you know what they do in that class? I got tickled and I said, well, yeah, I know what they do in that class. And she goes, they're wanting me to go to the barn. And do you see these shoes? They ain't going to the barn. She wanted out of ag class, so it's really, I hope that answers your questions about pathways, and like I said, I love it. It's really hard on adults, the pathway or the trimester. But man, the benefit our students get from being able to explore so many different interests is just, it's really powerful. And then the things that I like to highlight for you is our CTE and ACT. So there's some acronyms for you. CTE is the in-school pathways that we have. So we have business, agriculture, and family and consumer science. And inside those, there's multiple different areas you can go into. You can go into ag power, animal science. We have dual credit vet tech, so they actually take a dual credit course with Murray State on veterinary science. Then like in business, you go into marketing, entrepreneurship, computers. So within each pathway is different areas that you can explore. The ATC, I can't brag enough, and that's where Dr. Lamb's coming in to really help us. Garrard County is just, ever since I've been at the high school, the nursing program is unbelievable. And every year, we pump out at the high school 30 students who are MNA certified. So they pass the state test and they can go straight to work. I mean, every year. So Mr. Watts was able to get us another teacher so that we can increase that. We're very, very fortunate. I love talking about our ATC and Mr. Watts and having it here in Garrard County. I mean, our community, I hope they realize how valuable that is to our students. Now, we do have to share it with other counties, and I work really hard to try to get Mr. Watts to cut their numbers every year, but he won't. He always makes me share. But our kids love welding, auto mechanics, carpentry, and then the nursing, that Dr. Lamb, I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like Mr. Stoll said, he's joked about it, but he's told our nursing teachers they can't quit teaching for us to go join this program. So it's been super good relationship with them. Lincoln County also lets us send kids to them. We have a really hard time selling that. We usually get 3 to 5 kids a year to go to Lincoln to work on computer, building computers, tearing computers down. We did have one student that go over there for industrial maintenance program. They have a really good, but kids just, it's hard for us to convince them to go to Lincoln County for a couple blocks, but we do average 3 to 5 kids. So that their whole ATC is opened up to our students. We have a lot of options on the career side. On the academic side, students have the ability in-house with our staff and 2 college professors coming in right now. They can leave us with 24 hours, never leaving the Garrard County High School. The students do have the opportunity to take classes outside virtually, so we can work with their schedule. For instance, we have a junior. She already has 18 hours. At the end of this year, she'll have 18 hours as a junior with her whole senior year to go. But so they can get 24 in-house. Now, she's done a lot of outside stuff. She's been working with BCTC to get those credits. AP, we have all kinds of AP courses that students can take. Advanced placement, so our students can earn, if they get a 3 or 5 on that. And then we'll jump down and talk real quick about the clubs. That's a big part, our CTE especially, the FBLA, the FCCLA, and FFA organizations. We produce national winners this year. Business sending 6 kids to nationals. Y'all got to hear about the Gear Up student. He's going to Washington DC. We have a JAG student who's getting to go to Texas. She won a competition through JAG. She was first place in the state, so her mom and dad, I think, were fighting over who gets to go with her, but they're going to go to Houston, Texas for the competition. Beta Club, our academic team, we're producing a lot of state winners in those areas. We had student council. We find Miss Edgington has brought it back. We do not have 100 yet, but we have 28 students. That's just been fired back up this year. They've actually put together next week. It's prom week, so if you don't have anything to do next Saturday night and you'd like to come help us with prom, monitoring the parking lots, doing fun stuff like that. But they have scheduled dress-up days, things like that next week. So it's gonna be a fun week. So we're excited to have student council back. We got NDCC, and we're hoping to get that switched over to JROTC, and it's going great. The kids love it. Our art, Miss Long just does a fantastic job of getting our students recognition in the arts. The council up here, they do art shows. It's just, she does a really, really good job. And then y'all know about the band, right? Mr. Vance and the band, he cranks it out every year. So we have a lot of opportunities for our kids academically in the career area, and just piggyback on Mr. Sterling and Dr. Lamb, like it just I don't know how to put in words how fortunate our kids are going to be once we get this in place, because it's what's going to open up more opportunities for our kids, especially on the nursing piece, which is already a huge program that's kicking off. I'm gonna stop my timers.
And I'd like to say, the GRTC Flags for Veterans program, I'm a recent recipient of that. And that was an honor to me to have them come to my house and put up that beautiful flag with a light on it. Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank you too for answering the questions I had. You did an excellent job at that. But one other little thing. I understand we had some students last year in academics that qualified to go to another competition and it was canceled. I'm not sure exactly. I don't remember whether it was regional or a state. But this year they got to go, and the kids that qualified last year that didn't get to go got to go with them. And I thought that was just an excellent thing to be done for those kids, because they earned it. They just didn't get to go because of COVID. And I think it was very, very great that you guys gave them the opportunity to go. And I know that they appreciated it to get to go, because even if they never get to go again, but they're still competing, but at least they get to experience what they earned. And part of it, they didn't get to compete, but they got to go, and I really appreciate that. You did an excellent thing there.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate those updates. That's exciting. Very exciting. All right, item 2 is construction update.
Fred Beatty's with us. If he has anything he wants to share, if you might have any questions for him.
I'll go over, excuse my voice, I'm dealing with our lovely allergies. But a few things we run into tonight. Our original schedule, we were supposed to be presenting what we call design development drawings to you for phase 1, which is the athletics, the outdoor portion of the project. We've had some delays and some hiccups that we've run into dealing with some utilities and what we can and can't do in those right of ways. We're working through those. It has caused a slight delay, so we'll be bringing those design development drawings to you at the same time we bring phase two, which is the next month's meeting. That's pushing us about a month, so we'll see that kind of reflect through. We'll make up where we can. We're still pushing through, still on schedule with most of the projects. We're designing and drawing and coordinating where we can, but that's left a piece of the puzzle out that we're still having to kind of negotiate our way through on what we can and can't do in those right of ways. And those right of ways determine where field placement goes, buildings go, and until we can get those narrowed down, we're just working around the problem so that we can keep you on task or on schedule as much as we possibly can. Looking ahead, as I mentioned, we plan to bring on the 19th of May. We'll bring design development drawings. That should kind of be your first look at what our final master plan layout will be for the site. It'll also hopefully give us an early glimpse into what those buildings, how they're starting to take shape. We plan to bring some renderings with us at that point, kind of show you where we've taken what you've seen in a 2D plan and how we've made that into 3D buildings that kind of set across your site. Still lots of time to review some things, to change some things, and we'll get into the finer details once we get that approval process taken care of in May. Any questions, any concerns that y'all had come up over the last month? You can always give us a call, but always happy to answer questions as we go as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate our folks all being here tonight, sitting in on our meeting. We appreciate it. All right, item 3 is personnel changes since our last board meeting.
You all have access to those. We did not include individuals who have already announced their retirement. We'll do that next month. So any changes that you see are just regular changes that have gone on.
Thank you, sir. Item 3 is reports, and item A under reports is the treasurer's report.
Those of you who were able to meet on this past Friday were able to see the treasurer's report. You have copies of that. Ms. Coffey is here should you have any questions. Usually the thing that you look at most is a variance, and we were up $53,000 compared to this time last year. So if you have any questions, we're happy to take those. If not, we'll roll forward.
All right, let's move on to bills as presented.
You see those on,
Potential of that.
I'm sorry, the bond potential.
Oh, did I miss that? I'm sorry, B. Oh, we want to hear that.
So,
Thank you, Mr. McCreary.
so the bonding potential, you'll notice has a line in it. And the reason that line is there is because the legislative session is now complete. So some things that we didn't know for sure, we now have knowledge of. So instead of $458 per student, you're now at $508 per student when it comes to bonding capacity. You're now fully funded on your third equalization. And that equalization is now not to sunset in 2038. It will be a 20-year run from the time you start the project. So that's a really good bump for us. You will also notice, though, that the interest rate is up significantly. So the number that you're looking at there is the bonding capacity that we would anticipate, let's say in July. So if that's when we were to go to bid, that would be what we would be anticipating at this point. We knew that there would be an interest rate spike at some point. We've played with it a little bit, but this was the big one. So that's why the number is where it is. Your current bonding potential is just over $41 million.
All right, thank you, sir. And now item C, bills as presented.
You all see those on a weekly basis. We summarize them for you today so that you have them all.
Okay. All right, item 4 is the consent agenda, and I will entertain a motion to adopt all items on the consent agenda unless any board member has a question or concern about any item.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Hurt made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McCory, second. All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. And 4 board members present were in favor. So item, the consent agenda is approved, which moves us to item 5, which is the action agenda. And item A under the action agenda is to approve the final site-based decision-making allocations for 22-23.
These are the same allocations that you all saw as the tentative ones in February. So we're simply asking you to approve that so that we can get those to the site-based councils and meet our deadline of May 1.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation, do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Mr. McQuarrie made a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb, second. All in favor, you may have any discussion.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Is this, is there an increase or does it stay the same?
So there's no change from what we showed you in February. It's still $140 per student, which is the max that
What
we
it
can
was
do for
last
that.
year? Yeah.
And we're still funding them at least one position more than they're technically entitled to.
Okay, they're good. All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. And 4 board members present were in favor. Item A is approved. Item B is to approve a memorandum of understanding for JAG graduates.
Mr. Anderson mentioned a few minutes ago, the JAG program, and each year we need to reconfirm with them that we will enter into an agreement with them. We have a memorandum of understanding with them, and I would recommend you approve the MOA for JAG for the 22-23 school year.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Hurt made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McQuarrie seconded. Any questions? All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. All 4 board members were in favor. Item B is approved. Item C is to approve a bid for Lancaster Elementary Board.
I think we shared with you that we were going to bid for this and share, I think, 2 pieces of really good news here. Number one, we asked Klopfelter Samakar when they gave us numbers to not be nice, to give us some ugly numbers so that if things came in better, we'd feel good about that. And so when you look at your former recommendation of cost for that, it was about $500,000. The bid we have today is for $118,000. So significantly lower than what we were anticipating. So we feel really good about that. So my recommendation is you approve this bid for tile for Lancaster Elementary. It will be a phased process, but we will be going ahead and making the purchase of all the tile up front to try to create a savings there.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve placing the tile.
Dr. Lamb made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second. Yep. I'll defer to Mr. Hurt.
All right, Mr. Hurd seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. And all 4 members present were in favor. Item C is approved. Item D is to approve a BG5 on the intercom project at middle school.
This is the closeout of the Garrard Middle School Intercom project. My recommendation is that you approve this BG5 so we can close that project.
And there's 0 balance,
Zero balance.
which is always good news. You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dr. Lamb made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Corey seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. All 4 board members present were in favor. Item D is approved. Item E is to approve whatever that is, service, Medicaid reimbursement.
The Easy Ed Med service for Medicaid reimbursement is the process that we would like to shift to. There are a couple of options that you have. The option that we currently have has been a little bit challenging for our folks to use. A shift would also reduce our costs from 9% to 5%, so we would get a greater reimbursement. So it's my recommendation that you approve a transition to the Easy Ed Med service for Medicaid reimbursement.
Kind of threw me off. I saw X-Ed Med on the screen.
Gotcha.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hart seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. Okay, all 4 board members present were in favor. Item E is adopted. Item F is to approve the learning.
The KAEC, you may not be familiar with, but it's the connection or the conglomeration of all the co-ops in the state. There are 8 cooperatives that provide services to districts. These 8 went together and released a proposal to KDE. KDE had about $49 million available through ESSER dollars. They went together and they requested all $49 million. They didn't get it, but they got 24 and a half. So you shoot for the high stuff and take the stuff that you come out with. So what they've made available is to every district an opportunity to do a pilot in the district to look at an avenue of creating deeper learning. It's not a requirement to follow a plan or a program. The school district gets to determine what that is. And they will allocate to us, based on the number of students that we have, an amount of money. What you'll see here for us is $45,133. Our requirement within that, though, is to hire staff, and 2/3 of that money has to go to payment of staff who will be thinking through this process. We'll be hiring teachers to do this, or stipending teachers with this money to do that, if you will approve this. I'll be honest with you and tell you, I've already signed the paperwork to say it, because I was hoping that you would say $45,000 was okay. So we will be working through this for the next 3 years. We have the support of any of the co-ops in doing this. So my recommendation to you is that you approve the KEAC Deeper Learning Grant.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Mr. Prairie made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Kurt seconded. In light of him already sending the paperwork in,
In light of, I may have a question. That's 3 years. And with the possibility we might pick it up if we can see a significant advancement from where we start to where the third year end, that we might even choose to continue it or discontinue it at the board's.
Right, so the hope is that what we have at the end of the 3 years is that we've scaled this and we're using it across the district already.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I'll ask of you later, and I'll make the connection now so it'll make a little more sense then, is because we'll be asked to pay teacher leaders in this role a certain amount of money, you're going to see a request from me for us to raise the salary of our teacher leaders that we currently have to that same level, so that we can create a larger group of people to be working on it across the district. So it's an opportunity for us to do something we're already doing, connect to this. And like I said, hopefully we'll be scaled in 3 years.
okay, anybody else? All in favor, let me know by raising your hand. All 4 board members present were in favor. The item G is approved. Item H is to approve a 3% pay increase.
Back up one.
Oh, I'm sorry,
We
did I
approved
miss one
F.
again?
We did F, and now we're doing G.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
Approve a district, multi-tiered system for support and behavior coordinator.
So if you will remember back when we did our needs assessment, the largest need that came out of the needs assessment was help with student behavior. And we talked about this and worked with our special ed department and our general ed folks to arrive at a point where we would like to put together an individual, hopefully we can find this person, who can support our teachers who are faced more and more with students who have significant behavior challenges. This is not a situation where we're looking for additional money someplace. We think this is significant enough that we need to own this. And so the request that I'm making tonight is that you allow us to create this position. There is a job description that's attached to it in case you want to look at it. We are hopeful to find somebody who has lots of experience in the world of PBIS to support our teachers in that, but also somebody who has some counseling background who can work with the student and with the teacher. So what we're trying to do is grow our teachers' ability to support our students through this process. So my recommendation is that you approve this NTSS and behavior coordinator for the district.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Mr. Query made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb seconded. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor, please. I'm sorry.
I had to think how to word it. What is the additional cost?
We've added the 15 days to work in the summer when we have our principals available to work around that, and when we have perhaps a need to bring even students in at that time to give some additional support to them.
That money is coming from
It's general fund.
the general fund?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We'll have some support out of the general fund of special ed, but it's not IDEA funded.
We good?
Yes, that answers the question. Yes.
Okay, you ready to vote? All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. Okay, all four board members are in favor. Item G is approved, and I'm sorry to skip over that. But item H is to approve a 3% pay increase for certified staff.
For the next few items, I'm going to answer Mr. McQuarrie's question now. What you're about to hear from me is a series of requests based on what happened with the state legislature. The state legislature has increased seat funding by $100 per student this next year, $200 per student the following year, and they funded transportation at 70%. We've been funded about 54% for the last few years. So we took those dollars and calculated what they would be. There, you have a form in your folder that will let you see that. And over the course of the 2 years, it averages out to about $570,000. So we worked as a leadership team and looked at a series of proposals to bring to you. And we came up with a list that we're going to walk through item by item in the next few minutes and ask you to approve those if you will. Part of that will be what you see in this first one, which is the pay increase. We are making a request to you of a total of $568,000 out of the $570,000. This is not coming out of general that you currently have. This would be coming out of general that we will be receiving as additional funds from the state. So having said that, I'm happy to answer questions around each one of these. The first request that I have is that we give a 3% pay increase for the certified staff here in the district. That'll total $247,503. That's a permanent raise. This is not a supplemental pay or anything like we did last year. It's a raise to all individuals who are certified, save myself. Okay, I'm not part of that. So my recommendation is that you approve a 3% pay increase for the certified staff at Garrard County Schools.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Hurt made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb, second. Do you have any questions or comments? Sir, would you mind, some of the teachers were asking about if we could do the bonus, and would you explain?
So last year was a supplemental pay increase that we did as a 2% using ESSER funds. What we're doing here, all of our ESSER funds really have been committed at this point. That was a one-time thing, so that didn't roll into their salary, so it did not carry forward. They just saw it as a one-time thing. This is part of the salary schedule, because we'll ask you to approve that salary schedule in a few minutes since you've done this, or you haven't done it yet, since I think you're about to do this. And that will be a permanent thing. So they will have this 3% part of their income for as long as they're with us.
Thank you, sir.
And the other will go away because it was a one-time bonus. So, yeah, that's,
Okay,
I understood it.
all right. Have we had the motion yet?
You have a motion and a
Are you ready to
second.
vote?
Yes,
All in favor, raise your hand. All four board members present were in favor. The 3% raise is approved. Item I is to approve a $1 per hour increase for classified.
So when we met as a leadership team, we decided that one of the things that we wanted to do is try to impact our classified staff if we could. As you know, a 3% raise for them would be a good thing, but when you have a smaller amount of money, that's a smaller amount of a raise. So we looked at what we could do, and what our recommendation is that we give all of our classified staff a $1 per hour raise. That would total to $125,626. And that's my recommendation to you, that you approve that amount.
Okay, you heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. McQuarrie made the motion.
Second.
Okay, you heard the second. Now, do we have any questions or comments? All right, all in favor, let me know by putting your hand. All four board members present were in favor. Item J is to approve creation of a menu planner stipend position.
This is a $5,000 position, and I need to withdraw something that I said a minute ago. This is outside of the money that we're talking about. This is money out of food service. And what this would be is a position where an individual would take on the responsibility of planning menus for all of our buildings. It would, again, be funded by food service. It's a position that could end up being picked up by one of our managers at our school level. So it's not necessarily an add to anybody at central office. My recommendation is that we create this position as a $5,000 stipend position.
Thank you, sir. By the way, I'd like to point out for those that may not be aware, I should have done this in the beginning. If anyone out there thinks, boy, they're just moving through and they're giving that superintendent anything he wants, each one of us meet with him on the Friday before our board meeting, and we go over every item with him and have the opportunity to ask questions that's on the agenda. If something needs to be added to the agenda, he always contacts us and lets us know that there's an addition. So I just thought I would point that out to you. Which brings us to item K, which is to
You haven't voted on this one yet.
Oh, we haven't
You don't
voted?
have a motion or a second yet.
Man, I thought, okay, all in
Good
favor,
try.
let it be known by this.
No, you don't have a motion or a second
I
yet.
don't?
No.
Well, I got excited over all these races. All right, the menu planner, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Now, any questions or comments? All in favor, let it be known by lifting hand. Thank you. It is approved. Item K is to approve a district maintenance position.
This has been a conversation that I have shared with you previously. As you know, as we talk about increasing the facilities that we have, we're going to need some additional help with that. We also have talked about the fact that we would like to free up our director of maintenance to be able to keep an eye on any of the work that's going on. We feel like now that we have this additional money, it's a good opportunity for us to do that. So what I would like to request of you and recommend to you is approval of an additional maintenance position for the district.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Query made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurd, second. Do you have any questions or comments?
I do.
All right.
How many maintenance workers do we have? This is a loaded question because I'm trying to justify this a little bit because I think that how many maintenance workers do we have?
5,
And we have how many campuses?
more than 5.
And that amounts to quite a bit of work, and we have one maintenance supervisor or manager.
He's part of the 5.
He's part of the 5. So I don't think it would stretch anybody's imagination to think that we might need addition to the maintenance staff. And in spite of my reputation as being a little, asking a lot of questions about money when it's being spent in positions, I think that I'm satisfied in my own thinking that this is a necessary addition. So thank you for
Yes, sir.
presenting it to the vote.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you sharing that. Are we ready to vote?
I'll make a motion that we approve an additional maintenance position.
It's up, you've got a motion and
You got a
a second already.
Let's
You
vote.
just need to vote.
See, you're confused too now.
Y'all making me work hard tonight.
This is too much discussion. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, I confused more people than you could ever realize. There's a lot of people, Survey, I could.
Dr. Lamb's been paying too close attention to me tonight. Item L is to approve change of director of instruction title to director of teaching and learning.
This is a respite. There's no cost for this one. You can do this without any cost. When we created the positions last year and updated job descriptions, I should have made this decision then, and I did not. The reason I'd like to do this is because I'd like to stress to everyone that we understand that if there is no learning that has occurred, there was no teaching. Prior to that, it was just presentation of material. And we want to make sure that people understand that we take seriously this idea. And so regardless of what we do with any future items, I'd like to change this name so that it reflects what we expect that to be, a director of instruction for teaching and learning. So that's my recommendation to you.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Hurd made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb seconded. Now, is there any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting your hand. All four members present were in favor. It is approved. Item M is to approve creation of Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning and Director of Secondary Teaching and
So this one goes back to money. So I'm asking to take a position that we currently have and double that position. Currently, we place a lot of responsibility on an individual who's in that role, who happens to be in the room, Ms. Perry. And she and I have had conversations about this. We would have loved to do this a couple of years ago, but the funding wasn't there. So since this funding is available now, I would like to do this. The goal behind it is to have this individual in our schools supporting our principals, who are then supporting our teachers. They're not going in to do principals' work. They're going in to go into classrooms and coach teachers who may need some support. The goal behind that is improving tier 1 instruction, so that tier 1 instruction makes better students, reduces the need for tier 2 and tier 3, and those kids who then are in tier 2 and tier 3 can get some very, very targeted supports that they would need. So in the job description, and those are available to you there, the idea is just like we are with our interventionists, it's the idea of pushing in. It's not coming and sitting at the board office and doing something on my behalf. It's being in the buildings. Now, they'll be at the board office, some don't misunderstand that, but they will roughly be in an elementary school 1 day a week, so 3 days of their 5 would be there. At the high school, middle school level, what we're looking at is 2 days at the high school, 1 at the middle, and then the next week, 1 at the high school and 2 at the middle. So we're trying to give as much support to the teachers as we possibly could in that environment, another set of eyes for our principals. So my recommendation to you is approval of a director of elementary teaching, learning, and secondary teaching and learning.
Thank you, sir. You heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, Mr. Query, you made the motion, Dr. Lamb seconded, okay? We have a question.
Yes. Oh. Since they're gonna be in different schools,
Mhm.
they will report to you though.
They will.
Okay.
So this is part of the idea too of having the district-wide curricula. Gives us an opportunity to ensure that that's happening as well. So we hope it can do multiple things.
Okay, anybody else?
She got sick.
Yeah, you good? All in favor? Raise your right hand. All 4 members present were in favor. The change is approved. Item N is to approve the administrative index for all administrative positions.
I think all of you have had an opportunity at some point in time to look at the administrative index as it currently exists, and it's one of the more confusing items that there is. I think that there have been opportunities to talk about this previously, so hopefully this is the right time to do that. What my recommendation to you is that we create an administrative index that is very much simplified and based on the current level of the individual when they move into that role. Currently, that's not the way it works. As we do this, though, there would be no penalty to anyone who entered and is in a better situation now than they would be if we switched to this. We would only address a change in that environment when somebody left a position. So this is a no harm request, and that's why you see an additional $21,000 listed there, because we would be paying a little above what we would normally pay if we go to this index. So my recommendation to you all is that we simplify this process and create an administrative index for all administrative positions.
Thank you, sir. You heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, Dr. Lamb made the motion and Mr. Hurst seconded. All right, anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Has anybody else on the board been able to figure out how to figure out a salary for administrators under the
No,
current plan?
I've been on the board 18 years and I never did understand.
It's very vague and very difficult to interpret, and
Yeah.
nearly impossible to interpret.
But under this,
In other words, it make you scratch your head several times.
well, under this, what we're about to vote on though, it's simplified.
Clear cut.
It's fair to everybody, and if a person is in a position and their salary currently is above their index, they will not be penalized. So it's a win-win. Any other discussion? All in favor, let me know by lifting the hand. Thank you. All 4 board members were in favor, which brings us to item O, is to approve leveling pay for all extracurricular supervision positions.
2 attempts here. One is conservation of effort, and the other one is the idea that when you stair step amounts for extracurricular, you don't always entice someone to stay for a longer period of time. So what the request is here is that we take all of our extracurricular positions, eliminate the idea of steps, and simply set one standard for that. So anybody who would come in would start at that salary, and that would be their salary until we did a raise within this area. One of the requests made of me on Friday was to check with one of our more senior individuals. And I won't name that individual, but his initials are Chris Vance. And he is one of those individuals who has worked his way through all of those steps. And when I asked him about it, one of the things was, well, you know, I made it through all the steps. I wish it had been there when I started. But the great thing would be if I ever step out of this role, it would be much easier for you to hire somebody as a replacement. So he looked at it as a very holistic piece, not just about himself. And I appreciate that very much from Mr. Vance thinking about it in that way. That's ultimately one of the pieces that we're looking at. The conservation of effort means it's much easier for our staff at central office to get the correct pay for those individuals. My recommendation is this is what we do.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Hart made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McCourt, second. Do you have any questions?
Question.
Bart?
Did anybody total up what this all amounted to when you went through and looked at, what you're leveling up?
I did not.
Well, if I can be corrected if I'm in error, we just added 5,000 a few minutes ago. This is gonna be an additional 30,840. If I'm correct in adding that on, that'll put us above $300,000 a year in stipends. So that might be something when in the future we might need to look at to see just exactly where that's $300,000. And there's even some unpaid volunteers on there that are working for nothing. So, you know, to be fair about it, maybe we just need to look at it. It might need to be more, but that seems like there's a lot of people on there. They do a lot of things. That's not, and no, it's not all athletics. It's a lot of people that do a lot of different things, and they work hard and they do extra work. I'm not saying, I don't want anybody to take the impression that these people that do these things are earning their money. But every once in a while, you just got to bring it to the attention of people that that's how much money it is. And that's why I always look and say, hey, how much is it going to cost? You can depend on me every month. If there's something there, I'm going to ask how much it costs. It's not personal. It's just to try to keep it out there so people know we do spend a lot of money, but it goes to a lot of good causes too.
I'd like to, if you don't mind, being in the system, so to speak, doing extracurricular activities for 32 of my 33 years. When I got into as an assistant principal and as an athletic director and basketball coach, and you take the amount of time that I actually put in versus what I was getting paid, it equated to about 8 cents an hour. And I guarantee you that may not be as much as Mr. Vance is making. You know, he may be making less than that because he puts in untimely amounts of time. So
and money out of their pockets too.
And money out. There's so many times I guarantee you that the coaches and directors, when they stop somewhere and eat and they see a child not having anything to eat, I guarantee you they'll buy them some food and make sure that everybody's treated the same. So I think it's just a small appreciation for the amount of effort that goes into all that they do.
When you look at our total budget of $26 million, 320,000 is not that much. But just for clarity, that's how much we spend. We're voting on it. People we're saying we're gonna, do, level out and look at and do things which needed to be done, but we need to know what we're talking about. It's, and
Totally
I
agree.
think in clarification, that's why I brought it up. And saying that, what I said is those people, as Mr. Hurt said, don't make a whole lot of money when they count the time they spend extra that, and the time that they, and the money that they spend to see that somebody's on a road trip and they don't have enough money to pay for their meal, and it gets paid for. Somebody pays for it. I wouldn't have an idea who that might be. No child that I've ever known gone anywhere in Garrett County that if everybody else gets fed, they get fed too, no matter what the position. Sometimes they even have to borrow money when they're on the academic team and lose some money.
If I
People
can,
replace it for them so that, till they get home.
Yes,
So,
so I think something Mr. McQuarrie said there, I'd like to make it clear to anybody who's watching. The information that everyone has in front of them here is available to anybody who's out there as well. So if somebody has a question
yes.
about what's going on, they have the opportunity to take a look at this information. So if you go into, if you go to our website and go to the board section, we post all of these agendas. You have access to our agendas, so you can see every document that every one of you can see. We do that to try to be as transparent as possible. So if somebody wants to take a look and say how much money is someone making doing the job that's out there, they have the ability to do that. And I think so when Mr. McQuarrie brings that up, it's a good opportunity to make sure that people know they don't have to just trust the words that you're sharing or that I'm saying, then go ahead and take a look at
What I'm
this.
saying.
Right. So
I thank you very much for pointing that
just
out.
want everybody
So-
to.
Because that has not always been in the past.
so they can open the attachments.
Yes, sir.
And everything.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for sharing that. That's good to know. All right, we through? Ready to vote?
Yeah, stick a fork in me
All
on
in
that.
favor, let me know by lifted hand. All 4 board members present were in favor. 11, no pay is approved. Item D is to approve a pay increase for teacher leaders.
This is what I referenced a little bit earlier when we talked about the deeper learning. Last year, we created this idea of teacher leaders. It's the first time that we've had that. If you'll remember, at that time, we were paying $400 to department chairs only at the secondary level. We made teacher leaders available at all levels, and we raised their salary or created a salary in some cases, a stipend of $1,000. To align with what we're going to do with the deeper learning, I'd like to request that we raise that from $1,000 to $1,500. That's a total cost of $1,400 or $14,500, but that puts us all in a line. So this is an alignment piece that I would ask for, and that's my recommendation.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurt, second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All 4 board members present were in favor. Item Q is to approve pay alignment for food service secretary and all other similar district positions.
So last year, you all allowed us to create a little bit of a raise for some of our secretaries. And by default, I missed an individual. And I'm asking you to allow me to correct that by bringing that individual online. That's our food service secretary. That's a district position. We had done that with all of our other district secretaries. It's my fault for that miss, and I apologize for that. So my request of you today is that you allow me to fix that by adjusting that salary correctly.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Mr. Burry second.
Second.
Is that okay?
That's lovely.
Her voice popped in just before you spoke, so. All right, any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All 4 board members present were in favor, which brings us to item R, which is to approve reduction of contract length for food service sector.
Don't get to do this for you much, Mr. McQuarrie. I'm asking to cut some people some time, but it's at their request, okay? What it does is allow our food service secretary to align her time with our food service director. So it's an appropriate decision. She's fully aware and is glad to do this. Would like to do it, actually requested it. So my request is that you allow us to do a contract reduction to 240 days for our food service secretary.
You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Burry made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hart seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All four board members present were in favor. Item R is adopted. Item S, since we approved the previous one, is to approve the 22-23 certified salary schedule.
So we took a little bit of a risk tonight, assuming you might do some things. Had you chosen not to do some things, we would have tabled these. Normally, you don't look at these salary schedules until May. We wanted to do this in April so that as our staff begins the hiring process, they'll know the exact dollar amounts that they can offer to a teacher or an extra duty person, whatever that might be. So the next few items, we're going to be asking you to approve those salary schedules, and they are based on what you approved earlier. You have copies of those salary schedules to look at. Again, anybody out in the public can take a look at those as well as public information. My first recommendation on this one is that you approve the salary schedule for 2022, 2023 for our certified staff.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Mr. McCray made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hart seconded. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All four board members present were in favor. Item T is to approve the classified salary schedule.
My recommendation to you is that you approve the 2022-23 classified salary schedule.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McQuarrie, second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All four board members present were in favor. The classified salary schedule is approved. Item U is to approve administrative salary index.
I recommend that you approve the administrative salary index for the 22-23 school year.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Hurt made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. And all board members present were in favor. The index is approved. Item B is to approve extended days of service salary schedule.
So all the positions that we have that have extended days are listed for you. You can take a look at those again. Anybody can see those. My recommendation is that you approve the 2022-23 extended days of service salary schedule.
You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Hurt made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. And all four board members present were in favor. The days of service salary schedule is approved. Item W is to approve extra duty salary schedule.
My recommendation is that you approve the 2022-23 extra duty salary schedule.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Ford made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor. The extra duty salary schedule is approved. Item X is to approve the substitute teacher salary schedule.
My recommendation to you is approve the 2022-23 substitute salary schedule.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. McCray made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurt seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. And all four members present were in favor. The substitute salary schedule is approved. And item Y is,
You know why?
I know why, is to approve non-criminal justice local agency security policy. And that was a long one.
It was. So right before we do that, I'd like to take a moment on behalf of our staff, thank you all for what you just did with the raises and the opportunity. I think this is a really great move on your all's part to support a staff that you all care a lot about, that you all want to support. And so just on behalf of them, I'd like to say thank you for that. This is, again, not a financial request at all. We were audited, and this is basically to try to make this as clear as possible. An audit by the FBI was had at the state level. The state then came to us and did an audit on us. And it's to make sure that we have in place security measures so that we do not release information on a criminal records check that we are not supposed to release. We are now, will be audited every 2 years, and we had to put in place some policies. You have those policies in front of you. It means that anytime that we handle a record like that, it has to stay behind locked doors, in locked files, things of that nature. We can't release it without person's permission to do so. All this does is align it. What we're going through right now additionally is some training that we have to pass a test on to prove that we know what we're doing. So our folks are going through that as well. But to get everything in place and to be in sync with what's required of us at the state level, we need this policy in place. So my recommendation is that you approve this non-criminal justice local agency security policy.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the policy.
Dr. Lamb made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Garrard, second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifting the hand. All 4 board members present are in favor. The policy is adopted. And before we adjourn, I'd like to thank all of you all that have stayed to the end, most of your administrators. Oh, wow, we've got the police here too.
But you just now noticed?
I did. They usually sit over here. They changed places on. Good to have you, sir.
Absolutely. If you
Appreciate it.
wouldn't mind, I would like to introduce myself to the board that may not have interacted with me yet, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. I'm currently as a school resource officer at Cape Dick Elementary. Been there since December. I'm a native of Garrard County, and a graduate of Garrard County High School. I'm also a retiree from the military, retired back in 2010. I've served many different positions and jobs, both in law enforcement as well as the state prison system, as well as the Lincoln County Regional Jail. So I bring a plethora of knowledge, and plus with my military background as far as security, I think I've got a lot of things that I can add to fortify our school resource position. So, plus only that, it's an opportunity for me to be able to interject myself with the children, intermingle, show them that there's a different side than just behind the badge. There's actually a person, and I think there's a lot of kids out there that go through domestic violence and abuse. One being just recently, we have a case that we're currently working on. So I think if we're able to drop their guards down, I think we'll have a lot more children to come forward with their problems at the home front. I try to focus my attention and time on those who tend to separate themselves from the crowd, usually that leads credence to some possible issues